Good morning, friends. Today we are going to start a chapter on physics, chapter number 5, motion. So, in physics, we are going to study motion, but remember, physics has got concepts. So, to understand physics well, you will have to understand the concept of physics, the concept of distance, displacement, scalar quantity, vector quantity, speed, velocity, acceleration, etc. Okay, now why are we studying motion? So basically, if you see around yourself, you will find many bodies are in motion. But sometimes we need to calculate the motion to get an idea and estimate. For example, if you go to a railway station, you see a chart of a train which is going from one place to another. So how can the train reach on time? So the train has to cover a distance in a given interval of time. So the driver has to maintain a certain speed to keep the trains on time. So that is how we study motion, and we study the characteristics of motion. We'll get to that later on. So let us begin. So what is motion? When can you say the bodies are moving? Yes, you will say motion means the body is moving. But when can you say the body is moving? Take a look around you and see how can you tell which objects are at rest and which objects are in motion. If you're sitting in a room right now, probably the only thing moving will be the fan on your head. Okay? And all the other things in the room might probably be at rest. But how can you say it is at rest or in motion? So, the definition says a body which changes its position. Yes. So if a body changes its position with respect to its time and surroundings. Now what is the meaning of time and surroundings? So look at the wall or look at the door of your room. If you look at the door of your room and an object, say a cupboard in your room, the cupboard is at the same distance from the door. Okay, so if you have taken the door as the reference point, the cupboard is at the same distance from the door. Now after 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 1 hour or 1 day, that cupboard has not changed its position with respect to the door. So we can say the cupboard is at rest with respect to the door. So body which does not change its position as time passes and with respect to its surroundings is said to be at rest. If it changes its position, it is said to be in motion. If it does not change its position, it is said to be at rest. Now in this example, I have taken the door as the reference point and you are sitting in the room. So if you are sitting in one place to see this whole video, then you can say you are at rest for that time. But respect to surroundings. Now what do we mean? If you look at yourself, you will think you are at rest. Yes, and all the objects in the room are at rest. But we have learned before that the earth is rotating. So if the earth is rotating, all the objects on the earth are also rotating. So if a person is observing us from the moon, then we will be in motion. So when you observe somebody from the earth, the person looks at rest. But when observed from the moon, the person looks in motion. All the mountains, yes, on the earth will look at rest. Mountains do not move. But if observed from the moon, the mountains are moving with the rotation of the earth. So, motion is a relative term. You should have a reference point, and remember motion is a relative term. So the fixed point or fixed object from which we are observing the motion is known as the reference point or origin. So you can understand the concepts of physics now. The first concept of motion should have a reference point from where you are observing. In future you will find out that sometimes the reference point can be taken at rest or sometimes the reference point is also in motion. Okay, so motion is a relative term, the person observing. Now, a very good example of that is on a train. If you have traveled by train, yes, if you have traveled by train, and if you see there are two trains at the station, both the trains are at rest. Now, one train starts to move. If you look at the train, it is very difficult to tell. It is very difficult to tell which train is in motion. Okay, because you will feel sometimes that your train is moving, sometimes you will feel the other train is moving. So what do? You immediately look to something which is, at rest. You may look at the ground, you may look at a tree, you may look at the platform, you may look at the pillars on the platform, and from that you will see which body is changing its position, and that body is in motion. So which train is moving, you will only find out when you look at a stationary object. So again, motion is a relative term. A body or an object can be in motion with respect to one thing. For example, now the train has started and you have put your luggage in the train. Now when you sit at one place and watch your luggage, the luggage is not moving, so you feel it is at rest, because if the luggage is put beneath your legs, it remains at the same place, so you feel the luggage is not moving. But for the person on the platform, the luggage is going forward with the train. It is going far and far away from the person. So he will think that the object is in motion. So the suitcase, which is at rest for you, is in motion for the person on the platform. Thus, motion is a relative term. I hope you are getting a little idea of motion now. A body that changes its position with respect to time and surrounding is said to be in motion. A body that does not change its position with respect to time and surroundings is said to be at rest. So, now since we talked of motion, let us see the types of motion. Rectilinear motion is when the body is moving in a straight line. So for an empty straight road, when a car is moving on a straight road, we can say it is rectilinear motion. But remember, on a very long road, you cannot have rectilinear motion. Why? Yes, you guessed it right. Because the earth is curved. So when you travel a very long distance, your body is having a curved motion and not a rectilinear motion. A rectilinear motion you can imagine to be like the sun rays. From the sun, the ray is traveling straight outside, and one ray can be said to be in rectilinear motion. Periodic motion. A body which repeats its motion after a fixed period of time is said to be periodic motion. Roughly, the sun, the moon can be said to be in periodic motion. Every morning the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, to rise back the same time next morning. There's a little difference in the time, but you can consider it to be a periodic motion. If you see a pendulum swinging, it is almost to say it is in periodic motion. Now, uniform motion. When a body covers equal distances in equal intervals of time. So since your train has started, okay, if there is one way in which you can see the distance you are traveling and the time taken to travel that distance. So the train, or whether you see a car, your car is traveling 10 meters in every second. So if you check after each second, the body has traveled 10 meters. So in the first second it has traveled 10, in the second second it has traveled 20, in the third second 30, in the fourth second 40. So such a motion is called uniform motion. But when the body travels unequal distances, say 10 meters in the first second, 15 meters in the second second, 5 meters in the third second, 20 meters in the fourth second, then the body is said to have non-uniform motion. Okay. Now here you can see a small diagram and the distances are given. The distance from A to B is 2 kilometers, from B to D is 1.5 kilometer, from D to C is 1 kilometer. Now a person is traveling from A to D via C. Means the person is going from A, he has to go from A to D via C. So this is the motion. So how will you find out the total distance traveled? Yes, it is given the formula below. First we go from A to B, then we go from B to D, then you go from D to C, and then you go from C to D. So adding AB plus BD plus CD plus CD or DC equal to 2 plus 1.5 plus 1 plus 1. So when you travel from A to D via C, the total distance you have traveled is 5.5 kilometer. So the length of the actual path covered by the body is the distance. So we are going in a rectilinear motion, a straight line. If you can see, we are going in a straight line called rectilinear motion. We went from A to B, B to D, D to C, and C to D. So the total distance, the length of the actual path, this is the actual path we traveled. So the length of the actual path is giving us the distance. Its SI unit is meter. Now the SI unit you have to learn, because when we will do numericals, you will have to convert kilometer into meter, centimeter into meter, because meter is the SI unit. So the SI unit you have to remember, the SI unit is meter. During the numericals, you will have to convert it. So the length of the actual path covered by the body is the distance. Now let us talk of displacement. What is displacement? So in displacement, we have an initial position and a final position. And the shortest distance between initial position and final position is called the displacement. So in the previous example, we traveled from A, to B to D and to C and back to D. So we started from A, but eventually we reached D. So our actual displacement is from the initial point A to the final point D. So what is the minimum or the shortest distance from A to D? It is 2 plus 1.5 is 3.5 kilometer. So remember, the distance which you traveled was 5.5 kilometer, but your displacement is only 3.5 kilometer. So suppose from your house you travel to your school. Yes, from your house you travel to your school. Now you may go through different lanes, crossing roads and circles, taking a different route. So this is the actual path that you are traveling. So this is your distance traveled. But your displacement is the shortest distance between the initial position and the final position. So red color shows you the distance traveled and the blue shows the displacement. So you must have understood that the displacement is always lesser than the distance. Again, the length of the actual path covered by the body is called distance, and the shortest distance between initial position and final position is called the displacement. Its SI unit is also meter. So in displacement, you have to remember your initial position from where you started and the final position where you finally reached. Now, here we have taken the next concept of speed. So if you understood motion and rest, distance and displacement, now we go to speed. So what is your speed? The distance traveled by the body in unit time is called speed. And the unit of speed is meter upon second or meter per second. Speed is also given as distance traveled by the body upon the time taken. So in our previous example, we went from A to D via C. So what was the total distance we traveled? 5.5 kilometer. Now time we did not measure, but say the time taken was, okay, we have taken the time now. So time is to be measured in second, the SI unit is second. So now we have seen the conversion. Distance from A to B, B to D, C to D and D to C is 2 plus 1.5 plus 1 plus 1 is 5.5 kilometer. Now we'll convert the kilometer into meter because meter is the SI unit. So 5.5 into 1000 gives us 5500 meter. Now say the time taken was 2 minutes from A to B, 3 minutes from B to D, from D to C we took 2 minutes, but while returning C to D it took 4 minutes. So the total time taken was 2 minutes plus 3 minutes plus 2 minutes plus 4 minutes, in total 11 minutes. Now 11 minutes is how many seconds? Again the conversion SI unit is 660 seconds. So the formula says speed equal to distance traveled upon time taken. So 5500 meter is the distance traveled, 660 seconds is the time taken, and we get the speed is approximately 8.33 meter per second. So we are traveling 8.33 meter a second. That was the speed. Now here you see we have taken the average speed. How average speed? You are traveling the first 2 kilometers in 2 minutes, the B to D 1.5 in 3 minutes, then D to C in 2 minutes and C to D in 4 minutes. So everywhere you are traveling different distances in different times. But we have taken the average, the total distance traveled upon the total time taken. If you want to know the instantaneous speed, then there is something in the vehicle which gives you the instantaneous speed. You know what it is? Yes, it is the odometer. Sorry, it is the speedometer. The odometer will give you the distance in numbers. The speedometer gives you the speed. So when you look at the speedometer, it will tell you exactly the speed of the vehicle at a certain point of time. So when you are driving in the vehicle next time, make sure to see the speedometer. You will see sometimes the speed is increasing on an empty road. When there is a bump, the speed is decreasing. When you reach a turning, the speed is decreasing. So the speed keeps on increasing and decreasing. So the instantaneous speed is changing. But what is the average speed? To calculate the average speed, you will have to calculate, you will have to measure the total distance you traveled. How will you get that? By the odometer in the vehicle. Below the numbers are there. So see the initial number, see the final number, subtract the initial from the final, so you get the distance. With the help of a watch, measure the time, and distance upon the time will give you the average speed. So this is speed. Now we go to velocity. So what is velocity? Velocity is the displacement of the body in unit time. Speed was distance traveled by the body in unit time. Velocity is displacement of the body in unit time. So in the same example, when we went from A to D, initial position A, final position D. So total displacement 2 plus 1.5, that is 5 point, sorry, that will now be how much? 2 plus 1.5, that is 3.5 kilometers. Distance traveled you see again was 5.5 kilometer, but displacement is only how much? Displacement is initial point to final point, 2 plus 1.5, that is 3.5 kilometer. Started and finished. No matter which path we have taken, we started at A and finished at D. So the displacement is 3.5 kilometer. So what was the time we have taken? Displacement is now you see 3.5 kilometer, that is 3500 meter. But because we went from A to B, B to D, D to C and C to D, the time has remained the same. But in the case of displacement, we do not see the path we have traveled, we only see the shortest distance between initial position and final position. So in this example again, the total distance traveled was 5.5 kilometer, but the displacement is only 3.5 kilometer or 3500 meter. But the time remained 11 seconds. So for the displacement of 3.5 kilometer, we took 660 seconds, 11 minutes, sorry, it was 660 seconds. So velocity is displacement upon time, it is 5.30 meter per second. So what was the speed? It was 8.33 meter per second, because speed is distance upon time, while velocity was only 5.3 meter per second, that is displacement upon time. So once again we will revise it. So now you see again, the speed was the total distance traveled, 5500 meter. Velocity was only the displacement from the initial position to the final position, no matter which path you took. Now suppose I traveled from A to D in this way, or I would have chosen A to D path this way. But still, the total displacement remains the same. Why the total displacement? You can see in this diagram here, I have drawn in red and dark blue and blue. The distances traveled are different, but the initial position and the final position has remained the same. So the displacement has remained the same. Initial position and final position. So no matter which distance I travel, how I travel, the displacement has remained the same, 3.5 kilometer. So speed and velocity is different. Okay, so I hope you have understood the concepts here. So we have two types of speed. Average speed, like I told you, average speed, the formula is total distance traveled upon total time taken, and instantaneous speed is the speed of the body at any given time. So average, to measure the average speed, you have to note down the distance you have traveled, you have to calculate the time you have taken, and dividing the distance by the speed will give you the average speed. While instantaneous speed is given by a instrument called the speedometer that we have in the vehicle. Okay. So now finally we are going to see the difference between distance and displacement. First, the definition. Distance is the length of the actual path traveled by an object in a given interval of time. Displacement is the shortest distance between initial and final position of a moving object in a particular direction. Distance traveled by an object depends upon the path followed by the particle. So it depends upon the path followed. Displacement of an object between initial and final position does not depend on the path followed, no matter which path you take. Distance traveled is always positive. Displacement can be positive, negative, or zero. Okay, so when is the displacement zero? If you are on a track, you say a running track, you start from a point, run the whole track and come back to the same point. So since your initial and final position is the same, you came back to the same point, your displacement is zero, because the initial position and final position is the same. So the displacement is zero. When is it negative? For example, you want to swim in the river. Okay, you want to swim in the river and the river is flowing downstream. Now you are trying to swim upstream, but the current is strong. So when you try to swim upstream, you are not going forward. Actually the river has carried you back. So instead of going forward, you actually went backward. So your displacement was negative, because you were trying to go in the forward direction but you were in the backward direction. Another example, don't try it out, but suppose you have to travel in the forward direction. So you try to go in the forward direction, say in a ring, and the water carries you backward. So you are trying to go forward, but you're actually gone backward. So your displacement is negative, but the distance always remains positive. Distance is a scalar quantity, displacement is a vector quantity. Now what are scalars and vector quantity? We will do in the next lecture, because we have done enough for today. So the today's concepts are, the concepts for today you have to remember, see the video again, understand the concept of rest and motion. When a body is said to be at rest, when the body is said to be in motion. Look around you and try to note down the different types of motion. Then the concept of distance and displacement. Whenever you look at motion, a body is changing its position, but the path it has taken, which path, and also the initial and final position gives the displacement. And then we went to speed and velocity. So if a body is moving, it will have a certain speed. The speeds are of two types, average speed and instantaneous speed. In the same way, we have average velocity and instantaneous velocity, but that we will do later. So these are a few concepts for today and the idea of motion. Now, a last point, we do not actually calculate motion in daily life with a pen and paper, but we do have an estimate. Now this is a very good example I'm going to give you. Remember, suppose you want to cross the road. What will you do before you cross the road? You will look to the left and to the right. Now you will see there are vehicles on the road. Right? Yes, there are vehicles on the road. Now you can see a car far away. You can see a car far away and the car is changing its position. Now if the car is coming towards you, that is changing its position in different intervals of time, you can estimate the speed. So you take a small decision whether to cross the road or not to cross the road. Because the rate at which the car is changing its position will determine the speed. So there is a rough calculation. We do not calculate with the pencil and paper, but a mind is actually doing a rough calculation to understand the speed of the car and whether it is safe to cross the road or not. A similar example is when you see matches of cricket or IPL or any other sports. If you watch a cricket match on TV, what do you see? The batsman has hit the ball. Now the player on the ground is looking at the ball. It is changing its position with respect to time. By the change in the position, the player can calculate where the ball is going to land or where the ball is going to travel. So he will run in certain direction where he can go and catch the ball. So there is not calculating the speed on a piece of paper, but in his mind is done a mental calculation. He knows where the ball is going to travel, and if he wants to catch the ball, in which direction he should be running at what time so that he can go and catch the ball. So these are a few ideas, general ideas of motion. So be sure to go through this video one more time, because this is the very basic of physics, the very basics. If you understand this in detail, then physics will become much more easier for you. Thank you. See you next time.